Today's episode comes to you from the Blue Chew Studio.
Really?
Get 10% off your first month of Blue Chew Gold with the promo code WHW at BlueChew.com.
Welcome to WHW Monday. Tony Schiavone and Conrad Thompson.
Jim Crockett First Arcade, 605 NWA. TV title, Cajun Omni, the Bunkhouse Stampede. Flair and Horseman, Garvin, Bogey, Magnum, Dusty, Express Tag Team. Turner, Bond, Mid-South Joint World Championship Wrestling.
Talking about the great years of World Championship Wrestling, the NWA, and Jim Crockett Promotions.
Tony and friends north they win. Look, Schiavone's back again. World title split off center stage. Bischoff, Disney, Hogan, and Nitro. New World Order and the Crow. Thunder, Russo, Arquette Champ, Vinnie Mac, simulcast. Tony's back with Conrad, not your classy podcast. Watch along, try not to laugh. Lowest rules can't pass. This wasn't the initial plan. Tom Zigg's a good-looking man. Klondike Bill, make a chair. Tommy, you come over here.
What happened when? WHW Monday. And now, let's go to the ring. And here's your co-host. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson.
Hey, it's Conrad the Mortgage Guy, and you're listening to What Happened When? With the voice of your childhood and a heck of a good singer. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Schiavone. Tony, how are you, man?
I said a hip hop, a hippie to the hip, and a hip hop it, and you don't stop rocking to the bang bang boogie. So up jumps the boogie to the big to the boogie to bead.
Man, I got to tell you, we're in a great mood here on WHW. We're glad that you're joining us. We had a little sing-along before we got going, and it was a lot of fun, Tony.
It was. And you know what? I'd like to thank you and Dave Silva for getting me in a good mood, because I was in a miserable mood today.
Well, it's hard to listen to Freddie Fender and be in a bad mood.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Well, we're glad that you are here to waste some days and nights with us here on What Happened When. We've had a great run of fantabulous guests, but I requested this week, Tony, can we just kick it old school and be assholes to each other? So that's what we're doing today, but we're doing it with a little help from our friends over at classicwrestling.net. And I want you to go ahead and sign up right now, because you're going to be watching pretty great little piece of business here. We're going to be celebrating Booker T, the early years.
Wow.
Looking forward to this. That's classicwrestling.net. Booker T, the early years. It was a DVD way back when in 2011, but it, along with, I don't know, thousands of other hours of old school wrestling, are available for you right now at classicwrestling.net. Be sure to use my promo code Conrad30. That'll save you 30% off when you sign up. Tony, before we do our typical shenanigans and dumb stuff, I thought we should go ahead and talk about some sad news that happened. We lost a pretty important member of the history of professional wrestling, certainly tag team wrestling, and maybe even more specifically, Jim Crockett Promotions and the Midnight Express. Dennis Condrey passed away, 74 years old, Alabama born and raised. I couldn't believe it, but I think as he spent his final days like a couple miles down the same road that my parents live on. Just a hell of a tag team wrestler, North Alabama guy, beloved by all. I know that there is a GoFundMe going that Dax has set up from FTR, and we'll link that in the description for today's show to help his, man, I hate even saying this, but help his lovely widow, Teresa. This is a big loss. You know, we lost Bobby Eaton a while back, and now Dennis Condrey is gone, and the final two remaining members of the Midnight Express are Stan Lane and, of course, the mouth of the South, Mr. Jim Cornette. Chat me up, man. Talk to me about Dennis Condrey.
Dennis was one of my favorite guys, he and Bobby. And it's hard to believe that Bobby is gone and now Dennis is gone. The Road Warriors are gone. A lot of people that I work with through the years, but I may have told this story before. I had so much fun with those guys in the studios at TBS. Cornette was always so focused on what he was going to say that he never did screw around with me. He was always the mouthpiece, right? But as we're going on, and if you go back and watch any of the interviews or promos the Midnight Express did at the set with me, and you look at it closely and you watch it a couple times, you will see Dennis and Bobby fucking with me endlessly. take my format, throw it away, step on my feet, say something, and as Jim is talking, say something in my ear, trying to make me laugh. And then, of course, Big Bubba arrived, and we all, the three of us, tried to make Big Bubba laugh. And it was just so much fun working with Dennis. And you had asked me a long time ago, what's your favorite Midnight Express? And this is not a slight on Stan Lane at all, but it's always been Bobby and Dennis. And that's because that's the team I remember, the team that I first started working with. Dennis, one of his famous lines to me was when they were going to do the first scaffold match. I guess it was 86, Night of the Skywalkers. And was that 86 or was it 85? I think it was 86.
86 was Skywalkers.
Yeah, Night of the Skywalkers. I remember saying to Dennis, and Dennis and Bobby, Bobby was a pretty, as you got to know, very nice man. And Dennis was a cool guy too, but Dennis was a little bit more outspoken than Bobby about things. And I remember very distinctly saying, man, I don't know what they're paying you guys, but to get up on that freaking scaffold and do that, it's going to have to be pretty good money. He said, damn right, or we'll never do it again. He said, I promise you I'll never go up on that scaffold again unless the money's right. I don't know if the money was right, but I don't think Dennis really got on the scaffold again that I recall. He was just he was a pro. And if you go back and look at those matches, Jim Cornette was the perfect mouthpiece. When I go back and think about my times back in WCW, and I think about the great promos that were cut, obviously Flair comes to mind first of all, but Jim Cornette is probably right up there with him. Some great promos that he cut. So if you combine Jim Cornette's promos and the work rate of Bobby and Dennis as heels, you just you have a perfect combination of a manager and a tag team, the absolute perfect combination. And that's why Dax and Cash pay homage to these guys all the time because of how great they were and how they set the standards. The Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express did bigger business for Jim Crockett Promotions than anybody. And that was quite a rivalry that really exploded the Mid-Atlantic territory, and then, of course, enabled Jim Crockett to move on to TBS and do what he did there. So I'm going to miss Dennis as a wrestler, but as a person and as a real good guy who fucked around with me a lot. And I don't mind people fucking around with me. As you know, you fucking around with me all the time. I enjoy that. I think it's a great part of what we do. And I just am going to miss Dennis for a variety of reasons.
Paul Heyman had a really nice tribute to Dennis Condrey. He said, there are many who were closer to Dennis, but few who had the blessings of learning more from him. What a remarkable performer. Much like Ray Stevens, he did it so naturally. Instinct, talent, feel. I remain forever appreciative of the patience he had in dealing with me. Thank you, Dennis. And of course, I think most people listening to this probably relate the Midnight Express to the Rock and Roll Express, whether it was Mid-South or Jim Crockett Promotions.
Right.
Mickey Morton had a great statement that he posted. It's hard to even find the words right now because losing my dear friend Dennis Condrey feels like losing a piece of my own life. Dennis wasn't just someone I shared a ring with. He was a part of an era, a brother in this wild journey, and a man who helped shape what professional wrestling meant to so many people. We traveled the roads, lived the highs and lows, created memories that I'll carry with me for the rest of my days. People saw the competitor, the toughness, the presence, but I got to know the man behind it all, a man with heart, with grit, with a love for this business that never faded. Those are the things I'll miss the most. The conversations, the laughs, and just knowing he was still out there. The wrestling world lost someone truly special, but I lost a friend I'll never forget. Rest easy, Dennis. Thank you for the memories, the miles, and the moments. You'll always have a place in my heart. Man, I hate that we started on a down note, but I felt like he was such a doggone innovator and such a big part of the NWA and Jim Crockett Promotions, and clearly an inspiration to so many current performers like FTR and so many others, that we felt like it was probably appropriate to just go ahead and thank Dennis right at the top of the show, man. His contributions are still evident today.
And really a big part of my career too. When I think about my first start on TBS and the early days of those early days of TBS, the studio, for me personally, they were magical days. They really were. And it was never lost on me the scope and the impact that we had on pro wrestling back in the 80s, being on TBS. And then there were many times I would think right before David and I would take the air or they would roll tape that I'm standing here where Gordon Soley stood and made this such a great show on a national level. And I got to work with so many great guys in the early part of my career, and Dennis Condrey was one of them. And he was just, yeah, he's going to be missed. Just a great guy. And I didn't go up and down the road with Dennis like Ricky Morton did, even though back in the day there was big kayfabe and they didn't ride together. And I never worked in the ring with him. And the guys who work with each other in the ring are closer than an announcer is with wrestlers. But I feel a void in my heart too that Dennis is gone. I think the last time I saw Dennis may have been a year ago, and we mentioned something about him. He came out to an event of ours
Here in Huntsville.
It was in Huntsville. Okay, I knew it was. I knew it was close, and I got to talk to him, and he couldn't really speak. Was using a voice box, and but just a big smile on his face, and I really wish I could have spent more time with him. And it makes you wonder about. See, now that's an older Dennis Condrey, but that's still Dennis Condrey, brother. I mean, I mean, he's got the red beard and just yeah. Sad
Big
man.
Alabama fan too. Roll Tide, Mr. Condrey.
Oh wow, was he really?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The
Okay.
first time I met Dennis Condrey was actually the first time I saw you in real life, the NWA Legends Fan Fest way back when. And I was at the little banquet dinner they used to do on the first night where they, give people plaques and say they're going into some imaginary Hall of Fame. And it was a really nice gesture. But he was being honored with the Midnight Express. And, if you recall, the way they did that is they would sit like one celebrity per table. So if you bought one of those like VIP tickets or whatever, then you had a former wrestling personality or current wrestling personality as it was at your table.
Oh,
so as you know, they're just a series of round tables. And at one point, I had my back to the stage. So after we're done eating, it's like, okay, now it's time to watch the banquet. So I span my chair around. So now my back is to the table and I'm staring at the back of the head of the guy in front of me. So they introduce, hey, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Midnight Express. And they play the theme song or whatever. And the guy in front of me stands up and turns around and slides his chair under his table. And as he's turning around, he stops and he does a double take and he points at me and he goes, hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Because I had been doing radio and TV for so long in Huntsville. I didn't realize he lived in Huntsville. So then afterwards, after he got his award and it's finishing and all that, I'm like, Mr. Condrey, I had no idea that was you sitting in front of me. I've been staring at the back of your head. And secondly, how the hell do you know who I am? And he says, son, I live off Dug Hill Road. And that's a kind of a major road. You've gone home to Atlanta through there, and commented to me, man, there's a lot of big houses over there. What are these people doing?
Right.
So I was like, yeah, it's a really nice area. Well, he lived there, and my parents live at the start of that road. And I'm not exactly sure how far down he was, but it was maybe my most surreal. I mean, I know I was at a wrestling banquet, but he knew me outside of wrestling. And it was like, this is my most surreal interaction with a wrestler ever. How does Dennis Condrey know me and know who I am? That was a really cool moment in my fandom. And he was always such a pleasure. Story. Anytime WWE or AEW ever came to town, he knew he could text me and I could finagle with some higher up in the office to get him comp tickets to the show for him and his family. And everybody always rolled out the red carpet for him, as they should. And I just think, wrestling should acknowledge some of these heroes and legends while they're still here. And I hope, even though it's too late now, I hope that WWE puts the Midnight Express in the Hall of Fame sooner rather than later. I don't want it to be too late. And I know that next year's out. I mean, there's no chance you're getting Jimmy Cornette to fly to Saudi Arabia. But maybe there's always next year. Allegedly, we're going to get a WrestleMania in Nashville eventually. I think the Super Bowl is going to be there in February of 2029. So maybe, I don't know, maybe later that year or in 30, who knows, but it needs to happen. I'd love to see Jim Cornette pay tribute to Bobby and Dennis. He'd do a heck of a job with it.
Yeah, he would. But Dennis Condrey does not need to be in any sort of Hall of Fame to be immortalized by wrestling fans.
I agree with that. I just
you know how I feel about Hall of Fames. So,
of course I do, but I also know that respectfully, those Hall of Fame awards on some level, they're not for you, the performer. They're for the grandkids. Just that they never got to see Loverboy Dennis do his thing in person, and the idea that wow, Grandpa was a really big deal. Like I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, what else I think is really cool is that we're here tonight and we're going to be watching a little old school Booker T. It's Booker T, the early years. But before we start our countdown and watch that, I wanted you to see, they're kicking nostalgia into high gear with this AI. Have you seen the new Horseman cage set? It's a toy. Have you seen this?
No.
Check this out. I think you'll dig it.
The Horsemen storm the cage with the Break the Dream steel cage playset. Lock the American Dream inside the big blue cage. Blast him with the breakaway chair. Pop out the breaking leg. Crank on the figure 4. Swing open the locking cage door.
What? Is that real?
No, it's AI,
No.
but they did a great job with it, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Jeez.
What's so fun to me though is somebody was like, "Hey, we're on to something. Let's do a more modern one. Let's don't go back to 86. Let's go to or I guess that was 85. Let's fast forward like 15 years later. Let's go to say 2000 and do, I don't know, ECW. Take a look at this one.
ECW takes it straight to the bank with the Bounce Check Meltdown playset. Slide Sandman's payday into the slot. Bam! It flips to bounce, then pops right back at him.
I'm a bad person. I'm sorry.
Play that again, please.
ECW takes it straight to the bank with the Bounce Check Meltdown playset. Slide Sandman's payday into the slot. Bam! It flips to bounce, then pops right back at him.
It's bad. It's bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let
me say something about AI.
Okay.
It has been such a great tool for me. And the flip side, I think it's kind of ruined social media. And because you never know what's real.
You hated social media before this, in fairness.
Right. But I do watch some things on, I am on Facebook because that's where old people are. And I get on Facebook to try to reconnect with the people I went to high school with. And then you see some stupid videos on there. And I am on Instagram. Of course, Instagram, Facebook, same company. But as you know, Twitter, X can kiss my fat ass after I've taken a shit.
Wow. That was really specific today.
Yeah, right. But anyway, AI has been such a great tool for me. And as far as being able to search things and looking for answers for things. And it's just, it's really cool. And it's just the beginning, boys and girls.
I'm interested to see how it shakes out. I think that it's going to continue to evolve. I know there will be a lot of negative, but I think there will be more positive in the end. I think we'll find a way to persevere, but
yeah, because humans are what made AI.
Yes.
Right. And you got to realize that humans were smart enough to make AI. So they're smart enough, I would think, to be able to use AI the right way. And I know there's a lot of terrible people in the world, and who knows if a lot of those terrible people are working on AI, but I believe it's going to work well. And I also believe that that the time is ticking for announcers. One of my doctors, I have many doctors, told me, he said, I can tell you right now that my job is up for grabs. He said, because AI will be able to diagnose things better than I can down the road. So, well, it'll be interesting to see what it's all about. Hey, I'll be dead. It won't matter. I'll be gone. It doesn't matter.
And as you said,
Mhm.
they can kiss your ass after you just took a shit.
After just take a big shit. Yeah.
Which made me think about toilet paper. Let's take a look.
Man, please do not go to Dollar Tree for no fucking tissue. This shit dissolving up in my ass like a piece of air cotton. Like a piece of cotton candy or something. They must have made this shit theyself this morning. I mean, this shit just disappearing. I'm gonna use the whole roll up in one shit. Like, bruh.
Well, he has a point, and I don't use toilet paper anymore. So,
Well, just walking around crusty.
no, I use either
Use a tushy. That's
the
what you use.
I use the Continental wipes or the Hey Dudes or whatever. Not the Hey Dudes, but
If you're wiping your ass with shoes, you're at next level.
no.
I know you've been on the shoe kick lately, but we've gone too goddamn far.
No, it's Dude wipes, not Hey Dudes. Okay.
By the way, I do want to mention I had a chance to see you over the weekend. We didn't get any time to fellowship. We were both doing stuff.
Mhm.
But I saw you come in the ring to pay tribute to your great close personal friend, Arn Anderson. It was Arn Anderson Appreciation Night in Rome, Georgia for One Fall Wrestling. Hope you guys will check it out on Triller. That show will be airing, I guess, in the next month or so. But I heard a guy in the crowd say, "Nice Kobe's." And you pointed him out. And I was like, how about that? Look at this. This is catching on.
I know. He recognized that they were Kobe's that I had on. And I went, holy shit. And everywhere we go, everywhere Lois and I go, someone will say something about the shoes. I had her in the airport the other day as when I was on the way to Los Angeles for Revolution. She and I went to the airport at the same time. She went to see Matt and the grandkids in New Jersey. And we got up to the check-in place, and the guy said, "Those shoes are awesome." And I said, "Thanks." I had Lucas on, one of my multicolored Lucas, and Lois says, "Everywhere he goes, they comment on the shoes." I went, "Yes, they do. Thank you very much." But I'm telling you, it's amazing how many people can pick out shoes, not only that you got great shoes on, but the type of shoes you have on. That's how much sneakers, tennis shoes, basketball shoes, whatever you want to say, have become a part of our culture. I went to the Nike store today at Lenox Mall, and there was a line getting in. And I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? I asked the security guy, I said, "Oh, these guys have bought this shoe that's dropping, so they're lining up to pay for it." And it's like, it's just amazing. It is absolutely amazing. I never thought I'd get caught up in this, but I'm enjoying it. I really am. And I just built another shelf in the room.
Oh, how about that?
Put them in. Yeah.
Well, listen, a lot of us guys, we all collect something. And that makes me think of like the Antique Roadshow.
This statue was under Grandad's bed, found after he died. But we never saw it on display.
Well, it's not actually from a statue. It's a personal item from the late Victorian period, and we'll leave it at that.
Oh.
What do you think that is about there, Tony?
I don't know. What is that about?
Let us know in the comments if you could figure that out. I'm kind of confused. I don't really collect anything like that. I'm more of a wrestling collectible guy. And I think it was Fightful earlier today, actually asked, hey, what wrestling collectible? Oh, there it is. If you could have one wrestling artifact, what would it be? And there's a great picture there of the late, great Paul Bearer next to the Undertaker's urn. And of course, a lot of people suggested the urn. Some suggested Kane's first mask. But what stood out to me is, Tony, I feel like we may have found Klondike Bill's burner account. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Tori Wilson's panties was suggested.
Wow.
I'll be honest. A lot of things I've thought about collecting in my wrestling fandom. That would never cross my mind.
No, me neither.
Shout out to Too Wonderful Ty for that.
There you go. That just shows you what people like.
Yeah, I guess. And sometimes they don't always get along. Sometimes they have a feud. Maybe they have like a family feud.
Let me say this. I'm calling out my sister for the redneck bras. Bitch, you don't want none of this. Oh, pun, hit you with a haymaker. I flick a booger on a bitch if she fucks with me. Come there. Watch and see if you don't get booger flicked on you. I'll spit in your mouth. I'll fucking shit on the floor and rub your face in it and tell you don't shit where you eat, bitch. Like, you ain't about it. I'm 110 pounds of fucking whooping ass. You don't want none, I tell you now. I bet it's you $100. I told her today, I said, I'll give you $100 if you come up here and beat my ass. I said, I'll make one even better. I said, if you just come up here, you ain't even got to beat my ass. I'll still give you $50 for coming. That ain't a deal and a half for a broke-ass bitch. I don't know what a deal is. It don't matter if she beat my ass or not, I still flick a booger on her. And go, pooey. Like I said, I'm all fucked up and jacked up on the rotten and pain pills. That she don't want to fuck with me because I'm fast as fast lightning. And I flick boogers on bitches. Come on! Get you some! Bye-bye!
Tony, do you think there's a chance we could get you to the Redneck Brawl? I think you would do phenomenal doing commentary on that.
I'll tell you, flicking boogers on him. You know,
that like a booger on a bitch.
You know what I thought about when I'm watching that girl do all that?
Drugs are bad.
I'm thinking about home.
How much you like being at home?
No, Craigsville, Virginia.
Oh, West Virginia. Craigsville.
No,
Here we go.
Virginia.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you sure
are. Well, I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, we do need to take a break. Today we're excited to introduce a new sponsor here to the show. Of course, I'm talking about Morgan & Morgan. They are America's largest injury law firm. They've been fighting for the people for over 35 years, and they've recovered over $30 billion for their clients. Now, not only are they one of our new sponsors here on the show, they're also the official law firm partner of the WWE. And maybe what I love most about Morgan & Morgan is that they're truly for the people. And check this out. Tonight, they're coming in hot. They want to hook up one lucky fan with 2 tickets to WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas. It goes down this April 18th and 19th. That's right. They want to see you and send you live to see WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas. Now, in addition to the 2 tickets to WrestleMania, they're also going to be giving this lucky winner $2,000. That's right. $2,000 to help cover your travel expenses to Las Vegas. Now, to enter, all you've got to do is text the word HEAT42 to the number 4, the people. That's HEAT42 to the number 484-373-6753 and follow the prompts. Don't miss out on your chance to watch WrestleMania 42 live. Just text HEAT42 to 4 the people. There's no purchase necessary. It's open to legal residents of the 48 contiguous United States and DC who are 18 and older. Sweepstakes end March 29th, 2026. This is a paid advertisement. Tony, we're going to be watching Booker T here today. This
All right.
is the early years, and I figure we've got one more commercial that we need to get out of the way.
All right.
I'm not even really exactly sure what this is, but Silva's got it queued up, so here we go.
Introducing the all-new Milwaukee M18 Cocksucker. Built to clean up sloppy beads of caulk after tile work or around sinks. High-efficiency suction lifts old excess caulk straight into a clear chamber
So check that out. If you've got a home remodel coming up at your house from Milwaukee, anybody who's messed with caulk knows how messy it can be, especially if you're not trained. And if you wind up with some excess caulk, pick up the new Milwaukee Caulk Sucker. So there you go.
That's cool. Hey, I want to give a shout out to my.
You want to shout out a cocksucker yourself? Cocksucker come to mind?
A lot of them come to mind.
Somebody fired up on them pain pills.
Rock.
I'm on that rock and them pain pills.
Flick a booger.
I'll flick a booger on a bitch, Tony. I mean, tell me, I don't know. It's like she was channeling, first of all, clearly a lot of drugs.
Right.
She was channeling a little Pistol Pez Watley.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
I love that promo, dude. Like, flick a booger on a bitch. Like, you think we could get that over on TBS or TNT, or is that more of a Ring of Honor thing?
That would be more of a Ring of Honor thing. Maybe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. It's a great line, though. It is a great line. Where was I going with this? And
well, something came to your mind when you watched the Milwaukee spot.
Okay. I don't
for
know
the caulk sucker.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to give a shout out.
Oh, that made you think of it right away.
I want to give a shout out to my buddy Matt in Beverly Hills, California. He owns Beverly Hills Sports Cards. It has become my favorite sports card, vintage sports card place in the whole world. I've been out there twice now, and you're thinking, oh, Beverly Hills. No, it's nothing like you think. It's a very small shop in tucked away part of Beverly Hills. Really some great guys, and I just wanted to give him a shout out. He doesn't even know I'm giving you. He's not one of those guys who say, hey, talk about me on your podcast. But I'm going to go out to Beverly Hills a couple more times just to hang out with them and see how many cards I can buy. So there you go.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. We're going to be watching a little Booker T, the early years. This is from 2011. You can check it out over at classicwrestling.net. Be sure to use our promo code Conrad30. But without further ado, you want to give us a special countdown?
Okay. Flick a booger on the bitch in 1, 2, 3.
There it is. I flicked it.
To the classic superstars of wrestling. I'm Brian Webster, along with the legendary Mr. USA Tony Atlas. And Tony, welcome to another great program featuring Booker T.
Oh, wow, this is going to be exciting. You know, I watched this kid come up in his career, and he really worked hard to get to where he's at right now, and Booker T is really going to excite the fans out there.
We've got great singles action as well as tag team competition for Booker, and we're going to kick things off here as Booker T takes on Beach Boy Sean Summers, and it certainly doesn't sound like it'll be a day in the sun for Mr. Summers.
No, sir. It's going to be a pretty good match.
All right, here we go. Booker T, this time around on the classic Superstars of Wrestling.
My God.
I want to say something about the announcer we just saw.
Okay, Brian Webster.
Yeah. How was it? I'm serious about this. How was it that I was able to forge my way in pro wrestling the many years I've been doing it? And to me, he probably could have done every bit as good a job that I could. I mean, he talks, he's exciting. He's got a very good delivery, and there's a lot of guys out there who are like that, you know? I don't know. I guess maybe I just came around at the right time. I don't know.
Timing is a lot of everyone's success, Tony, I think. But you undersell yourself. By God, you're a bona fide Hall of Famer.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, but I just look at and I listen as much as I can to my stuff and thinking, God, anybody can do that, man. It's just. But anyways, this is that Stevie Ray walking around the ring?
It is indeed. That's his brother, Stevie Ray. And how about the haircut that Booker T has here?
That son of a bitch. We should have gotten that fucking Stevie Ray on here with us. Oh,
we
man.
can do that. There's lots more opportunities for that. But how about Beach Boy? Can we just talk about this?
Yeah.
I don't know why this tickles me. Guess where Beach Boy Sean Summers is from? Do you just want to venture a guess?
Orange Beach, Alabama.
Oklahoma.
Oh, wow.
Known for the beautiful fucking beaches. He also wrestled as Eli the Eliminator.
Okay.
Payne and Sean Summers. But here he is, the Beach Boy.
Look at the referee. Who was he pointing at? I guess Stevie Ray. Referee's got that 80s haircut, man. And I know it's not the 80s. Well, I guess it could be, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure when this is myself, but I do think it's early 90s. I would guess it's 92, maybe.
Yeah.
That's just a total guess.
Right.
Let's see if I can find this one. By the way, we are live, and we wish you guys would join us on an upcoming Monday evening. We have a lot of fun here, and know that you would too. Come check us out. It's the WHW Monday Patreon, or of course, you can check us out on Ring Classics. Want to give a shout out to a lot of our friends and family hanging out with us this evening. We got a packed house. Shout out to Jason Taylor and Bad Money Slim and James Elkarai and Jack the Phone Guy. Rajiv is here, the Homeroom King. Bryant in the house. Oh my gosh, we've got a Yambag Jones sighting. Dave McClay's here. Oh, Megan Nelson's in the house.
Yeah, how about Megan Nelson being in the house? Yeah.
We're having some fun. Hope you'll join us next week or sometime too. Hey, even Anthony Pyrus is here. The whole gang is here. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us on a Monday night.
And once he wakes up, Coach will be with us as well. So we'll see.
Hey, shout out to Coach Rosie. I don't know if you saw, but his his basketball team, Sunny Slope, they actually won the state championship and went on to play in the nationals. Unfortunately, they were not successful. They fell to that same Miami high school that the Indiana quarterback graduated from. It's kind of a highfalutin high school, and well, they probably had the high school equivalent of NIL, but that's a story for another day. Hell of a season for Sunny Slope. And
am I wrong? And is Coach Rosie hooked in with us here?
It may be.
Okay, Coach, I don't want to downplay anything you've done, because you've had a lot of success. But am I so too old school to think that high school basketball shouldn't be playing for national championships? I just think it's too much. That's all.
Well, they didn't win it, so I guess
Yeah. I don't know. To me, it was just state championships back in the day, and that was it.
Well, I think that is the way it ends for most people, but I think occasionally there's like an optional, hey, you can go play for this region or that region or whatever, and they continue to advance. So, hey, good on those guys.
All right. Yeah, it's it's pretty obvious that sports and money, gambling and apps and everything now, it's unbelievable.
The world is a changing.
Boy, it is. Now, I noticed the referee here has an NWA like patch on his shirt. It's almost identical to the NWA, but it doesn't say NWA on it. This is like GFF.
Yeah, this is global. You're watching global.
Yeah, but they copied that old NWA logo and put it on there. So this is global. And where was this taped again?
I believe we're probably in the Sportatorium.
Oh, okay. Well, that guy's got himself a water gun on the outside. Look at that son of a bitch.
By the way, if you're curious, we are going to see Stevie Ray in action here in just a moment.
Really?
Yeah, he's the tag team partner of Booker T. They're known. Do you remember their tag team name before they were Harlem Heat? Do you remember that?
I do not. No, I don't.
The Ebony Experience.
Wow.
Which I have it on good authority. You've been itching to have an Ebony Experience.
Look at that back elbow, would you? He's going to shoot him with that water gun before it's over with.
Let's be honest, too. That's a super soaker, Tony.
Yeah. Well, just to me, it's a water gun. I do remember.
I thought you were a super soaker back in the day, I think.
I'm going to not pay attention to a lot of your bullshit tonight. Okay.
I'm used to it.
All right. So I was, what a shitty elbow and a shitty miss of an elbow. My God. He's going to stick that super soaker up someone's ass here. He's looking around.
Tony, this is, I believe, Booker T's 7th match.
Okay.
They're at the Global Dome in Dallas, Texas. It's May 29th, 1992. And about a month after this, I would turn 11. So you were what, 50?
53, as a matter of fact. He got sprayed in the eyes with super soaker. Is he going to go down 1, 2, 3? No, he kicked out. So one of the first times I saw Harlem Heat, Jesse and I were doing WCW Saturday Night at Center Stage, right? And Harlem Heat came out. Watch out, Stevie Ray's gonna go in. Look at that stiff son of a bitch.
By the way, how cool does Stevie Ray look in that jacket, too?
Yeah, he looks a lot cooler than he really is.
Oh, he's got a headband, too. I need Dave Silva to recreate that for Halloween.
So anyway, we're at Center Stage. Harlem Heat comes out, and they have these vests on, like denim vest, like they've been in jail, right?
Right.
Let's listen to Brian Webster first.
Okay.
Pay-per-view. And Booker is teaming up with his brother Stevie Ray. Of course, in later years, Tony, they would go on to fame as Harlem Heat and multi-time WCW Tag Team Champions.
That's right. You know, the brother's a pretty big guy. Look like he spent a lot of time in that gym. And Booker T look like he spent a lot of time in that gym, too. You know, you put two athletes together, the same ability, the strongest going to win every time.
And, of course, being related, they think alike. Let's see if they can gel as they take on Lasertrons.
What?
Yeah, Lasertron 1 and 2 here, Tony. But there they are. The Ebony Experience.
Okay, so back to the story. So they come out and they have, like, they've been in jail, right? On the chain gang, right? And they have chains with them, right? And here comes Colonel Robert Parker out with them, you know, looking like the plantation owner. And Jesse looked at me and I looked at Jesse, and the match was over. And Jesse says, "Am I the only one here that thinks that is wrong?" To have Colonel Parker come out with those two guys. And the visual was absolutely wrong. I don't even know if the thing made air.
It never aired.
Okay, thank God.
It got shut down. It's been talked about for a long time, but it got shut down. It never aired.
Yeah. Wow, because Jesse and I said, we were talking about that like, holy shit, what is wrong with this picture? It's just, once again, you just never know in wrestling what's going to happen.
Well, we are live, and we do have some questions here as we're watching the Ebony Experience wrestle Lasertron 1 and 2, which I don't know why, but it just tickles me that that's a thing. Lasertron 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm honest with you, I didn't even know there were more than one Lasertron.
Well, it was Hector Guerrero, and I don't think either one of these guys are Hector Guerrero.
I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe this match went down on August 28th, 1992, because we see the Ebony Experience. They come in as the GWF North American Tag Team Champions. But I'm not exactly sure if that's Lasertron. I mean, who is playing Lasertron 1 and 2 here?
Okay. You never know. Stevie Ray, I've had so much fun with him. I mean, you know, he was with me on Worldwide. I had so many different partners on Worldwide. And I really, really enjoyed working with Stevie Ray. I did. He was funny. I thought he was very good at what he did. And just, it was really great. Starcast during the All Out or the All In event in Dallas, being able to reconnect with him once again. He looks good here, dude, doesn't he? Look how big he is. Big arms. Little bit of a belly there, Stevie, but don't worry about it.
Well, you can probably guess what that was from.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know, we all have had we all know that what we've all kind of suffered with big bellies, right? Right, Dave?
Oh, no, roll tide, everybody here. But I'm just saying, me, you, and Dave, we got it the old-fashioned way. I think Booker T Stevie Ray may have had a little help.
Okay.
Rajiv is with us, and he says, "Can't wait for AI Schiavone on Dynamite." That's exactly right, Excalibur.
That's all I was going to say.
I need to program one of the buttons on my machine over here just so I could press it, and that's exactly right, Excalibur. I'll have that ready next week.
That'd be great.
I know you're excited about that.
Oh, you know what else I'm excited about?
Smelling your own farts.
No, a little program note about tonight's show on TBS.
Okay.
The return of Taz.
Oh my gosh. Taz is actually flying around again.
Yeah, he's going to
he's been working an I Can't Fly gimmick for about 3 years.
Yeah. Well, he's Taz. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you this. After this match, and our crack producer here, he's not on crack, but maybe he can try some.
Okay, you're not going to show this thing, are you?
I'm going to show what?
You sent me this tweet.
Oh, I don't know if that's what you're thinking or not, but let me just go ahead and tell you, I've got something cool that you're going to want to see.
Okay.
Dave McClay is with us, and he says, now the Sting has wrestled for WWE. Do you believe the biggest name to never wrestle for WWE is now Disco Inferno?
No, No, you could put a turd in the ring and he would be a bigger name than Disco Inferno.
Sounds rude.
Mm-hmm.
Homeroom King says, Tony, if you had your own Hall of Fame, who would be the first you let in? So that's interesting. You are going to make your very own Hall of Fame. It's the Tony Schiavone Hall of Fame. And you're going to announce who the first inductee into the Tony Schiavone Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame is. And it will be
Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
And you said pro wrestling. I was going to say the Tony Schiavone Hall of Fame. I was going to induct Mickey Mantle.
Reggie Jackson. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Mickey Mantle, Reggie Jackson.
And then knowing you, probably like Karen Jarrett or something.
Mm-hmm.
Rajiv says, when you first saw Harlem Heat, was it obvious Booker T was the standout of the group, or did it take some time before you saw it? That's a great question. That is a really interesting question. When did you know that, hey, they're a great tag team, but if they ever split up, this fella here, whoo, sky's the limit?
You know what? I don't think it was immediate. I think the fact that Booker started getting more singles matches, and we got to thinking that, yeah, he's the man that it would get the most time in the ring and would be the bigger star.
So it wasn't apparent to you just watching them as a tag team. It was only once the office started positioning him as a singles that it was like, oh, well, this is the direction they're going.
Exactly. Yeah. It wasn't to me obvious at first.
Let me ask you this. When you take a look at, the Hart Foundation, did you realize or recognize that Brett would be the bigger star?
I think so.
When you saw the Rockers, did you know it would be Sean and not Marty?
No, I did not.
Yeah. I think that's interesting, right? Because so many people are quick to just jump on and say that, hey, Sean is either, 1A or 1B, wherever you put him. He's in a lot of people's the best to ever do it.
Right.
But when you go back and you ask people who saw the Rockers the first time, they're like, oh, I don't know.
Right.
I do want to ask, when we're talking about tag teams like that, where seemingly, feels like one guy's going to go on and break out. The one that was always kind of a head scratcher for me is the Steiner brothers. Because I think most people would say when they first get together, hey, Rick's the star.
Right.
And then Rick had seemingly more personality.
Right.
But it feels like some things changed once Scotty created the Frankensteiner. He started using it pretty regularly, and it feels like all the momentum went with him. That was me as a fan. You as somebody who was up close to this as it was developing, did you see one of the Steiner brothers in your mind as being the potential breakout star over the other?
No, I did not, but I agree that the Frankensteiner kind of turned the thing towards Scotty.
Yeah.
Because he would do that and people go, holy shit.
Yeah.
And that kind of turned it. I really think the real good tag teams, you don't really look at one of being better than the other. I really think that.
I totally agree. And I want to pick up this conversation and talk a little more because I feel that way about Arn and Tully.
Mm-hmm.
Like Arn and Tully is one of my all-time favorites. For that matter, FTR, they're like the modern Arn and Tully. I can't say like, hey, I like this guy better than that one. And somebody, Dave McClay says, hey, Demolition for him too. Now that's interesting because I'll tell you, me as a kid, I like Smash better than Axe. So I like Darso better than Edie. But I feel like you're more old school. You probably liked Edie more than Darso, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and you can think about some other teams too, like the Road Warriors, who was better, right?
Well, that's easy. Everybody answers Hawk.
Sure they do. Sure they do. But they were such a great tag team. It took a while. It took a while for Hawk to get up here. And I think the reason that Hawk elevated himself was two reasons, because he looked so fucking great. Number one, and his promos were tremendous. I mean, he came across as a legitimate badass, which he really was, but he came across that way more than Joe did. Although Joe obviously was a badass as well, but Hawk looked like, I mean, you can still see pictures of Hawk today doing those promos, and those traps are unbelievable.
Yeah, they're obscene.
Yes, it's like he took two softballs and put it under his skin, and they were just sitting there on top of it. It's amazing.
The Powers of Pain, I couldn't really pick one there.
Right, I agree.
That's a tough one. It is interesting to think about that. Like we know that even the Dudley Boys, Bubba went on to have more single success. So I think a lot of people would categorize him that way. When you look at the Gangsters, we go New Jack. You look at the Eliminators, you go Perry Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating to think about how some of those tag teams feel like they're on equal footing, and then other times it does feel like there's one who's more than likely to break out.
Yeah.
What about the Hardys? No,
Yeah.
I mean, I love Matt. He's a great guy, but I think everybody agrees Jeff had an incredible singles run.
Yeah, he did. What about the Young Bucks? I mean, they're like right there, right?
I agree. That's like FTR. That you can't pick one over the other.
Right.
A few years ago, I will say, I think Matt started talking about how bad his back was hurting. And a few years ago, I wasn't sure how much longer Matt was going to be able to do it. And I thought, hey, if they wind up having to disband as a team, I think Nick could have a good singles career.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that didn't happen because I like them as a tag team. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They're phenomenal. Yeah. They're absolutely phenomenal. I didn't know anything about them, nothing about them, until you told me about these kids and you explained to me about their Melcher driver and how great they were in California. And I didn't know anything about them. And I never saw any of their matches until I started in AEW. And I'm thinking, these fucking guys are phenomenal.
Wait, hang on. So your first time seeing them was Double or Nothing front row for that first AEW show?
Yeah, it's the first time I saw them. And I thought these guys are phenomenal. Then I got to know them and know that they're just wonderful kids and great family guys. And you think I have shoes? Ha! You have no idea. But I just absolutely love them.
Hey, you know something I just realized? I quickly pulled up, I don't know why I Googled it, but I said, hey, what are the top tag teams of all time? And it pulled up a WWE article.
Mm-hmm.
And they rank, of all the tag teams, they say, and I'm sure this is a few years old, they have Edge and Christian at number one. So this is from 2012.
Mm-hmm.
But they had Edge and Christian at number one. And what I thought was interesting about that is, they went on to both be world champions.
Mm-hmm.
The Hart Foundation were number two, only Brett.
Mm-hmm.
Demolition were number three, neither.
Right.
New Age Outlaws number four, neither.
Mm-hmm.
Hardy Boys were five, Jeff did. And then the British Bulldogs were six. And I kind of stopped right there because it's like, hey, neither of those guys were. But in an alternate universe, like I feel like if Dynamite Kid came along right now, are you telling me that he wouldn't be wrestling Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega?
Of course.
I mean,
yeah. It's just like I was talking about my career. It's a sense of timing, right? When you break into the business. So
as you continue down that list, we eventually got to a team that I'll admit I just kind of forgot about. But the APA, my buddy, John Bradshaw Layfield and Ron Simmons both went on to be world champions. I don't think that even dawned on me until right now. It's fun talking about tag teams. It's fun talking about the way wrestling was. And you mentioned that Taz is going to be back later tonight on Dynamite. Well, I think we should kick it old school, get in our Wayback Machine, and let's take a look at some early Taz together.
No class! And we certainly are white trash. But I'll tell you one thing, Tommy Dreamer. You in that yuppie world you live in, you had a silver spoon, a silver splatter as a kid? Well, all we had was concrete and roaches. And that's why we have a curse for you, Tommy Dreamer. That's why we're going to make an example out of you, Tommy Dreamer. You and that bubble butt of yours. We're going to shave it down, and we're going to sell pieces of it to the pig farmers. And we're going to... Shut up. I'm talking. Tommy Dreamer, you have upset the Tasmania. Listen to this, Dreamer. 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 Dreamer! You're gonna wake up one day, and it's gonna be too late.
I signed the contract. I had the match. Tony Atlas, we were going toe-to-toe, busting heads all across that ring. And I think I even had you, Atlas. You were running scared. And then all of a sudden, a little gremlin about this tall comes and jumps in my face, jumps me from behind, in front of all these people. Let me tell you, Rumble, you bring your Maniac, you bring Atlas, it doesn't matter. I don't know why you got a curse on me, brother, but we're going to sell it 1, 2, 3 in the ring one day. And Taz, we got a bone to pick, brother. 1, 2, 3.
Any chance you'll call Taz a little gremlin this week?
No, as a matter of fact, I'm going to tell Taz. I'm going to say, Taz, there is something out there on social media about you in your early days, and I told Conrad, I don't think we should play it.
You did not say any such thing.
And I know I'm lying to you. I'm lying, but I'm going to lie to him. Okay. And I'm going to completely
just throw me under the bus.
Yeah, throw you under the bus and wipe my hands of this.
I
knew you were going to play that, you son of a bitch. I knew you were.
Sorry for being predictable.
Wait a minute. Okay, when you first sent that to me, I'm looking at this. I'm thinking, that guy with the hat on that says Taz, that's not Taz. Who's he trying to? And I went, oh my fucking God.
Yeah.
The other guy's Taz. Oh my God.
You think there's any chance in AEW catering this week you could have a monitor in there and just pop that up and say, all right, boys and girls, we're going to do promo class, and just show that?
Yeah. There's a bigger chance that Lois and I have sex in the next 2 months.
Well, speaking of sex, if you want to talk about how to get your ding dong real hard, can I recommend Blue Chew Gold? Tony Schiavone's using some. I don't know what for. Maybe he's just trying to lean on something. Blue Chew Gold's the newest innovation from the #1 chewable ED brand. But check this out. Blue Chew Gold is brand new. There's 2 ingredients for blood flow to keep that rocket pumping, mixed with apomorphine and oxytocin. That's going to turn up the arousal in your body and in your brain. Not only that, you've got Blue Chew Gold that dissolves under your tongue. It works faster. How about just 15 minutes? That means you can get it on quicker and stay in the game longer. Elevation without hesitation. Full ignition in 15 minutes or less. Make your life easier by getting harder and discover your options at BlueChew.com. We've got a special deal for our listeners. Get 10% off your first month of Blue Chew Gold with the promo code WHW. That's promo code WHW. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring today's podcast. Tony, I'm fired up, man. Let's keep it rolling here. It's Booker T, the early years from ClassicWrestling.net. Use promo code Conrad30.
T here for you on the classic superstars of wrestling. The opposition, Action Jackson.
So what do you think of Booker T's colorful look here as a part of the Ebony experience?
Well, you know what? I like it. I like colors. I think it serves him well. What do you think?
Well, it always looks weird to me. I preferred the Harlem Heat gear. I thought when he was wrestling singles and he wore Harlem Heat pants, he had like those shiny patent leather with the flames going up the side. I thought, man, that's about as cool as it gets.
Yeah, and I get that, but now who's he facing here? Who's this guy?
This is Action Jackson.
Action Jackson. Oh. Like there's a guy running for governor of Georgia. I think his name is Mike Jackson. Not to be confused with
not the wrestler, right?
Not the wrestler, but he's been calling himself Action Jackson.
Well, this Action Jackson has teamed with Iceman King Parsons.
Okay.
But on this particular show, I think this is from September 18th, 1992. Booker T and old Action Jackson.
He's actually from
Texarkana, Arkansas.
Okay.
Big fella, 6'6", build is 277 pounds. He his signature move that he learned from Bill Watts and Dusty Rhodes. It's called the Big Booyah.
Oh, right.
You may have seen him as original TNT, Perry Jackson, or AJ.
I like Booker T with the eraser head type hair, sitting up on top of his head like that.
Kid and play, baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jason Taylor wants to know, how is Action Jackson not copyright infringement? I don't think anybody was trying to protect that mark from 1988. And if they were, they probably weren't watching Global. But I will say, I was a big fan of Carl Weathers. I wish he was still with us. I thought, man, what a legacy he lives. Leaves. Can you believe he's been gone over 2 years now?
No, I can't. And you know what? Did you watch The Mandalorian on Disney?
No, rather be cut by my toenails.
Okay. He was in that, and he played a big part in that, and he was really cool.
Oh, well, now that I know that, I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, he was very good in that. I think my opinion, and I know we're supposed to be talking wrestling, just my opinion. I like The Mandalorian, and but I think Disney overall has completely run Star Wars in the ground.
You got any strong opinions about baseball?
Not like I used to.
Opening day is this Thursday. Are you fired up?
No.
You going to watch anything?
No.
Have you been watching any college basketball?
Absolutely not.
If hypothetically Alabama can defy all odds and beat Michigan, and somehow Tennessee can defy all odds and beat Iowa, will you watch Alabama and Tennessee play just to make fun of me and Jeff?
No, I wouldn't. I would never.
Okay.
Listen, we're in football country, dude. Basketball is not our sport.
Yeah. Has Georgia ever had a good basketball team? I'm not asking that to be smart ass. I'm
They were in the tournament this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they got hammered by St. Louis.
I got you.
Hammered, and St. Louis went on to lose, I guess, to Michigan in that same region. But the Dogs made the Final Four in 1983, the year of Jim Valvano and NC State, in that miraculous shot by Lorenzo Charles.
For this to be a football country, you sure do know a lot about what the fuck happened in 1983.
Well, I was a sports fan in 83. I don't know what happened to me. I mean, I was a big sports fan.
You got married and had kids. That's what happened.
I watched the NFL. I watched Major League Baseball. I watched college basketball. Who is that on the outside? That's not King Parsons dressed up, is it?
Yeah.
Are you serious with that face paint on?
Well, let me see if we see him again here.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't give a shit about sport. That's not true. Not entirely true. I still get my ESPN app, okay? And I will check scores, but I don't sit down and watch games anymore. I've kind of got an interest back in the NBA because of all the shoes I've been wearing, the Luka shoes and the Jordan shoes and the Book shoes from Devin Booker. But I just don't. I mean, if you watch the NBA every other day, you're going to see one of the two things. You're going to see somebody bitch about the referees, or you're going to see guys getting into a fight, which I think is sad that it's come to that. But I still love it. I do. I've always loved the NBA, and I mean, it's not what it was back in the Bird and Magic days, but it's still pretty cool. And Jason Taylor said, "Go Thunder." SGA, one of the great players that you'll find. Okay, so
a big win for Booker T over Action Jackson. They're going to keep it going. Up next, he's going to be taking on Maniac Mike Davis.
Oh, wow, Mike Davis.
Yeah.
Okay. He's a maniac. I
love you for that.
Okay.
You know what? This will give us an opportunity to let me see if I can find when he wrestled Mike Davis. I don't know. I got some tag matches here, but I don't think that's what we're about to see.
Okay.
Either way, though, I did want to mention, and we did see somebody actually point it out here, Jack the Phone Guy. We're going to be doing a little live deal here this Thursday
with our
pal Eric Bischoff over on 83 Weeks.
Let me interrupt you. Say there's Gary Hart in the ring. Holy shit.
Well, let's track a little bit. Listen.
Okay.
Have to talk to Gary Hart tonight, and Sebastian, unfortunately, he will be there too, about how their trip to Japan went and how much money these two great African-American wrestlers are making for Sebastian and Hart Limited. Maniac Mike Davis, the opponent for Booker T tonight. I'm Doyle King. Joining me ringside, the legendary Sputnik Monroe.
What do you say, Slim? Where did they find this guy in a boxer shorts? He must be a dance hall dandy of some kind.
I don't. I think I know Mike Davis.
Can you believe Sputnik Monroe was legit on commentary here?
Yeah, how about that? This guy on commentary sounded pretty good. Got a good voice. See, once again. So how did I laugh?
A 14-time world champion retiring with the belt, the junior weight heavyweight champion of 1970, 1971. This man goes way back in pro wrestling. Sputnik Monroe.
I won 14 Cadillacs. I'm the Diamond Ring, the original Diamond Ring and Cadillac man. I'm very surprised at this. Art needs to take this kid in the red shoes there.
Hey, this is
the gym or something.
Let me say this, and I want to. Mike Davis wrestled for us in the studio a lot.
Really?
And TBS, absolutely he did. How about that? So tell us about what you were going to talk about Eric Bischoff.
Oh yeah, I was just saying that this Thursday we'll be live at 83weeks.com. That's just Eric's YouTube. But this Thursday, I don't know that you keep up with this sort of thing, will be the exact 25-year anniversary of the very last Nitro.
Will it really be?
The very last WCW show ever was 25 years ago this Thursday. And for the last 18 months, every time I saw anybody who would listen with an AEW email address, I said, oh, please, run a spring break show on Wednesday, the 25th, as you're listening today. Because I was like, man, if they could be back in Panama City the day before the 25-year anniversary, that would have been so fun.
Wow.
It's not going to happen. I'm excited that, we're still going to have one heck of a Dynamite. I don't want to give any spoilers, but Taz is back, so it's a big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is 25 years, Tony, and I know that was technically not the last WCW broadcast. There was one other broadcast with Worldwide, and that's where Scott Hudson and Mike Tenay gave a very awkward sign off.
Oh, really?
Because, normally they would say, hey, tune in next week, but there is no next week. This is it. So it was, I don't know. It's sad for a lot of wrestling fans. And I know that since we're on that 25-year anniversary, I wanted to give you a chance just to talk about that day and reflect or whatever you want to share with us.
I was glad to leave that day. And I don't know if it was, very honestly, I don't know if it was anger or relief or excitement about what was ahead of me. But I knew that I had to reinvent myself because I knew the WWE would not want me, even though I did check with them a couple of times about going to work with them. But, Lois had told me, said, this is your last show. And now you can go and do things that you wanted to do that you couldn't do because you were making a good living and just could not drop it and go do, I don't know, baseball. So I remember just bolting out of there and didn't say goodbye to anybody, nobody, your typical Irish goodbye, and just walked out, got in my car and drove to Atlanta that night. And there was a sense of relief from that. And then when we got back in the office, I can't remember what day it was after that. And they said, we're shutting it down. And they said, if you'd like to get in touch with the WWE offices or WWF offices back then, here's the number. And I had been, prior to that, I had been looking for a job. And my contract said that I couldn't look for a job, right? And I said, fuck that. I'm going to look for a job. And I'm not talking about calling the WWE. I'm going to look elsewhere in broadcasting. And I had secured me an interview with WSB Radio. I got very lucky to call WSB's newsroom, and Chris Camp, who was a news director, picked up the line, and I said who I was, and he couldn't believe it because he was a wrestling fan. And I got an interview, and when WCW closed their offices at 10 a.m. that day, I had a 2:00 afternoon appointment at WSB Radio and got hired. So I hit the ground running, and that's why when I look back on it, fuck it. I was forging ahead with something else, and it didn't really bother me at all. It bothered me at first because I knew we were getting worked by Brad Siegel. And I knew that Jamie Kellner didn't want us. And so I knew that bothered me. But once it was all over with, I had a new career off and running. So I don't look back at that with anger. I don't look back at that with sadness. I don't. I look back at that with relief, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, you actually did an interview way back when. It was called OMG Volume 2, The Top 50 Incidents in WCW History. I think this DVD came out in 2014. And you were quoted as saying, I wasn't upset. I was kind of relieved. I looked at that. Man, it was a lot of fun. We did a lot of great things. And at the end, it was a terrible place to work for. And I'm glad it's over with. So that last Nitro, no regrets. Man, I wanted to go home.
Yeah, that's exactly, and I still feel the same way today. I didn't have any ill feels toward Eric Bischoff and his efforts for this company. I had a lot of ill will towards the leaders at TBS and AOL Time Warner at that time. It's changed drastically now from what it was. We've got some really good people like Sam Linsky who are in charge and some others. But back then we didn't. And we weren't wanted by TBS. And it goes back to this thing. You can list all the reasons why WCW failed that you want. You can blame it on Vince Russo if you want to. Go ahead. You can blame it on Eric Bischoff. You can blame it on me and the butts and seats if you want to. Go ahead, do it. You can blame it on so many different things. But here's the reason WCW failed is that we were owned by a television company. Owned by a television company that had no idea what to do with wrestling. Vince owned his company. That's why he succeeded. Tony Khan owns us, not Turner, not Time Warner, not Warner Brothers Discovery. It is vastly important to have a wrestling company and not a TV company. And that's why we failed, or that's why we went under. They didn't want us. End of story. If they would have wanted us, who knows? We could have gone through the tough times, battled through, how cycles go in wrestling, and started to prevail again. But they didn't want us. That was the end of the story. And that's the reason.
Ric Flair was quoted as saying, that was the happiest day of my life, the day WCW closed down. Sad for the people at TBS, the honest and hardworking people that worked in the company that really had the best interest of the company at heart. But for the people managing it, the manipulation behind the scenes with the top guys, I was glad to see it go. Right. It was really, really bad. I don't like anything about that night at Nitro except that it closed.
Yeah. Yeah, he's right about the manipulation at the top.
Well, I don't know if did you ever see the final sign off from any WCW program, the Scott Hudson sign off? Do you remember seeing that at any point?
No, not at all.
So you'll recall, the last Nitro was a simulcast,
right?
To do a last minute push and plug for WrestleMania 17, which is the biggest WrestleMania of all time. And it happened 6 days later. So the last thing fans saw on Nitro was Shane McMahon bickering
with his
long
dad.
distance with his dad,
right?
About who owns WCW
mm-hmm.
and which McMahon's name was on the contract. But what we've actually got here is a proper goodbye, as awkward as it was. And I can't imagine having to even do this, but Worldwide aired 5 days later on March 31st. So this is the day before WrestleMania 17. And we're going to show you a clip here. Cross our fingers. See how it goes.
And this wraps up WCW Worldwide, not just for this week, but forever and a day. WCW gone, Worldwide gone. We want to thank you for joining us each and every week here on WCW Worldwide. What a great crew we've had. It's been a lot of fun taping these shows, and you can see we have a really good time. For Mike Tenay, I'm Scott Hudson. We'll see you down the road somewhere else. Thanks for watching Worldwide.
Tony.
That's about as good as you could do.
You couldn't do any better, but
you can't. Yeah.
Sucks, man, doesn't it? To know that that's the final note of this whole company that we all loved.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
By the way, we've rejoined the action here from Booker T, the early years. That's Booker T versus Alex Pug Porto.
Alex Pug Porto?
Yeah.
Named after a dog, a pug?
Well, there was a wrestler who called himself the Dog-Faced Gremlin once.
One and only Rick Steiner.
Hey, this is a great question from Bryant. He wants to know, with the spring break nitros, did you ever go out and party after the shows, or did you just leave right away?
Always left right away.
No surprise.
Yeah. Do the same thing now. There was a time that we after Jacksonville stopped in the during the COVID times, you know, Tony would always feed us afterwards. And then I started, because I was in talent relations and still am, I checked with people in charge and said, why don't we still feed the people? Let's just bring pizzas up to a place in the hotel we're staying. And we did that for a while until we started doing Collision, and they didn't want to do it, you know, on Wednesday and on Saturday. I don't know where I'm going with this. What was
I was just asking if you went out and
no, and that was the only time I really went out and did anything. I would go to the, you know, wherever the ballroom was in a hotel and hang out with the guys, but I never have really been much of a go out afterward and celebrate. He just spit on the fans, that son of a bitch.
Why would he do that?
That's a no-no. I mean, that really is a no-no. Look at him selling this shit, man. Booker T is going to give him the scissor kick. I can see. No, he's not. I thought he was bending over. Booker T go give him that scissor kick off the side ropes. Boy, Booker T was so athletic, wasn't he? Just moves around the ring so effortlessly.
All right, folks, let's take a time out right now and talk about saving some money. If you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Go right now to savewithconrad.com. We're going to show you how to keep more of your own money, and don't just take my word for it. Check out some of our reviews. Man, we've got one 5-star review after another, more than 1,000 5-star reviews over at savewithconrad.com. In fact, we've got so many, I just want to read you off one that we actually got earlier today. It says, Diane was amazing to work with. She's awesome. Helped us every step of the way. First time buyer here. You're going to see positive feedback like that one after another. And I'm not going to lie, there's a couple of bad ones in there too. But you know what? Our average rating, 4.75. Now think about that. That means if I was a wrestler and my average match rating was 4.75 stars, hey, I'm wrestler of the year. Okay, I'm not ever going to be that. But I sure would love to help you save some money. And I'm talking to you, even if you've decided, oh, I can't save any money, I've got a great rate. Just talked to a customer last week who told me that exact sentence. I had a great rate. I knew you couldn't save me money. We saved you more than $800 a month. But how much can you save? It's free to find out right now. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket. But if you're feeling overwhelmed by debt, I mean, let's be honest. If you're maxed out on your credit cards, you didn't plan to be maxed out. You didn't plan to feel stuck making the minimum payments, but you will need a plan to get out of that debt. And that's where we want to help. We want to be your mortgage advisor for life. At savewithconrad.com, we're not the bank. We're not going to say no. We're going to say not yet, but here's how. We're going to give you a real plan to accomplish those goals, short-term and long-term. So if you're looking to save money, how's this for starters? No payments for 2 months. And if you're maxed out on your credit cards, wouldn't it be nice to get rid of that debt just like that? You can do it at savewithconrad.com. And come 2 months, you're going to have a cheaper monthly payment. But maybe most importantly, what does the end of your loan look like? How old are you going to be when you pay your house off? Isn't it funny that we all have conversations about, hey man, 3 more car payments and then I own it. How many house payments do you have left? Does that line up with your long-term plans? If you have small kids, are you going to be making a mortgage payment and 2 college tuition payments? The time to think about that isn't once they're a senior in high school. The time to think about that is right now. Let's get a plan together. It's no cost, no obligation. We don't have an application fee. We don't have a credit report fee. But what we do have is the opportunity to work together to save you some cash. Because if we can't save you some money, we won't waste your time. So why wouldn't you? Drop me a line right now. Conrad at savewithconrad.com. Call us toll free at 888-425-0105. Or get a quick quote. Even talk to a live person right now at savewithconrad.com. Now, only do this if you're looking to get the cash to turn your house into your dream home with no money out of pocket. Only do this if you'd like to get rid of that credit card debt once and for all. Only do this if you want to stop overpaying the bank and keep more of your own money. Only do this if you're serious about saving money. If you're not, hey man, the banker will keep taking your money. Figure something out later, maybe. I don't know. Is hope a strategy? Probably not. Let's get a plan together. Let's do it right now at savewithconrad.com. NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender, savewithconrad.com. Let's do another live question here.
Okay.
Tony, this Thursday marks 25 years since Nitro's final episode. What's the biggest misconception about that night, and what still sucks with you that fans don't discuss? I really like the last part. What about WCW, or specifically that last night of Nitro, didn't get enough attention from fans? Maybe we didn't know.
I can't think of it. I can't think of anything.
I got you.
You know, I've never been really much of a dirt sheet guy, so I don't know what the fans were saying when it all closed.
Right.
So I have no idea what the fans what their conception was of what happened. I go back to this, what I said. Brad Siegel, Jamie Kellner, the whole group. Those are the ones that put the dagger in WCW.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you think. Gary Hart, there he is again, man.
Yeah, this is the Super Destroyer.
Okay.
Booker T here. I think a lot of people, when they hear, guys who talk about, when you said, hey, it was the manipulation from management, I think a lot of people just immediately jump to, oh, he's talking about Eric Bischoff, but you listed a bunch of other corporate people, not Eric Bischoff.
Right. Not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I've not read the Nitro book, but I think it pretty much lays it out in the Nitro book what was going on. If you read that book, have you read it?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And we're actually probably going to be doing a little bit more discussion about that very last Nitro in the Nitro book. Guy Evans did a fabulous job. I consider it to be the definitive WCW book.
Yeah, and from what I heard, he really laid it out about the wheeling and dealing that was going on behind the scenes.
No doubt.
I mean, if you think about this, and this is the one thing that really bothers me about everything. If there's one thing that bothers me about everything, is that how stupid can someone be to let the library go to Vince McMahon for whatever price that was? I've heard $3 million. I don't know if that's true.
It was a little over $2 million of that was, you had some advertising buys that were baked in there as well, and then some attorney's fees, but not a lot of cash for sure.
Right. And how much money do you think Vince had made off of that? I mean,
millions.
Of course. And to me, that just shows you that whomever worked that deal out had no foresight into what television was going to be.
Right.
How stupid can someone be? I mean, just give it. If you don't, just give it to a hoarder. They keep everything, right? And have them. And if you don't want it, God, they let it go for it's a cliche, but let it go for a freaking song and a dance.
Yes.
That just tells everybody all you need to know about the people in charge at that time. So, and thank God 25 years later, we kicked out of that and we've got good people.
Eric Bischoff was quoted in 2003 as saying, I didn't watch the final Nitro that aired from Panama City when WWE took over from WCW. I couldn't. On a personal level, on an emotional level, I'd been through so much in terms of what it took out of me to try to build WCW that I totally detached myself from everything that was going on. I think that's a pretty healthy defense mechanism, don't you?
Yeah, of course it is. But it's understandable for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't blame him. I know the effort he put into it. I was right there when it started with him. Right there. I remember him telling me he was taking over the company. I remember where we were when it happened. And I remember where Lois and I went out with Lori and Eric. I remember the restaurant in Atlanta. We all sat down and talked about it after you got the job. So I remember all that and thinking, and I've told Eric this many times, I interviewed for the job. Keith Mitchell interviewed for the job. But after talking to Eric all the time that I talked to him, I knew he was the right man for the job. I knew he was because he had as it's an old Dusty Rhodes line. He had a vision of what he wanted it to be. And he was the right man for the job, no doubt at that time. So, but here we are 25 years later, and damn it, I'm still in the business.
By God, they're not going to be able to run you off.
No, and I'm having the time of my life. I really am. Really, really enjoying it. Working with some great people. Really am. Have met some people that I consider my very close friends. And I can name a bunch of them. I get to work with a guy and along with my close friends, I get to work with someone on a regular basis like Eddie fucking Kingston. Can you beat that?
No.
One of the most talented, wonderful young ladies I've ever worked with in my life in Harley Cameron. Is she not great?
She really is amazing.
Yes. If we had a VIP night at Rumble in Rome on Saturday night, and she was so nice to everybody.
She's a star, man.
Oh.
She's one of a kind.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like QT told us when someone asked him who's the biggest star on the horizon, he said it's Harley Cameron.
There's no doubt.
Yeah. Just I guess
we gotta track this. Let's listen to this.
Okay.
Well, we
caught
just
him
saw
from the backside and then caught Sebastian on the floor. There's a 3 count in the ring.
Well, what chaos it was. We enjoyed watching some early Booker T. We want to shout them out again. Go use promo code Conrad30 right now at classicwrestling.net. You can see all of this great stuff. We saw early Stone Cold Steve Austin a few weeks ago, and we watched a little early Booker T. I think it can't be debated. When WCW closed down, lots of guys who used to work for WCW would eventually go to work for WWE, but one stood above all the rest, and that's Booker T, the most decorated performer in WCW history. When you combine all of the tag titles, you combine the TV title, the US title, and the world title, and then to go have all of that success in WWE, they recognized him in NXT last week in Houston. It was Booker T Appreciation Night. And I thought, hey, you know what? If this is the 25-year anniversary of the last Nitro, we all remember that's where Booker T won the world title again, leaving with the big gold belt. I'm glad we got to celebrate Booker T and talk about the way WCW used to be and wipe those tears away. It's a new day. And AEW is here. They're going to be in a town coming near you soon. AEWTIX.com is where you can pick up the tickets. They just announced, Tony, that they're going to be in my hometown of Huntsville, Alabama.
How about that?
At the end of May. And tickets go on sale this week. So go grab yours right now at AEWTIX.com. But Tony, right now, it looks like it's about that time.
First of all, before we go to our final sign off, how in the world did this end up being throwing dirt on WCW night?
Well, how was it throwing dirt on it? It's the 25-year anniversary.
Well, yeah, not throwing dirt on it, reburying it again. Or digging, I don't know.
I love WCW. I could talk about WCW forever. I know you didn't have the same experience we did as fans, but I'm just all about it. And I'm glad that we got to talk about it today. But Jason Taylor, who's with us here live, he says nothing beats live AEW shows. And I'm going to challenge you. If maybe you don't absolutely love when you watch the TV show at home, go to a building and experience AEW in person. Go to a freaking pay-per-view. I mean, you want to talk about, like whenever I'm talking to football people, and they're like, oh, I've never been to a game day in the SEC. I've never been to an SEC game. And I would often say it's like a I'll stop short of saying it's a religious experience, but it is a cultural experience. I think AEW is that way too. I want to encourage everybody to check them out.
Okay. And from behalf of all the fans to everybody who was in WCW back in the day, especially the corporation that ran WCW, I sing this to you. Why should I keep loving you? Dun, 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 dun. When I know that you're not true. Dun, 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 dun. And why should I call your name when you're the blame for making me blue? Dun, 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 dun. This has been WCW's What Happened When? Coming to you each and every Wednesday on the Libsyn Radio's podcasting network. But each and every Monday, we come to you exclusively and ad-free on
Patreon, patreon.com/WHW Monday. And of course, ringclassics.com.